What's up, everybody? It's me, E-Man. And listen, if you've been watching From, then you already know this show is chock full of mysteries and a whole bunch of questions that we have yet to be answered. So after watching seasons 1 and 2, I have finally collected the top 10 unresolved questions that we have up until season 2. So heads up, spoiler alert, I will be covering and spoiling a bunch of things in season 2. So if you haven't watched season 2, go watch it, check out my breakdown videos, and then come on back, and then we'll be all good and nicely confused together. And by the way, in case you missed it, you still can go check out my other video where I do cover season 1's top 10 unresolved questions as well. Now, before we get started, listen. Before we get started, let me just say that I will not be discussing one major question that I know a lot of people have. And yes, you already know the question for season 2. Who threw Boyd the rope? Honestly, I think that this question is getting overly complicated by people who did all the extra stuff with Sarah and the worms and all of that. Sarah does not have worms, by the way. Now, I've already given you my answer as to who threw Boyd the rope, and that was in my theory video about Martin's true identity. So, long story short, Martin is not real. He was the evil entity in disguise who tricked Boyd into carrying him into town. He's the one that threw the rope, okay? The evil entity threw the rope. It's not difficult. I'm pretty sure, I'm like 95% confident that is the answer. Anyway, let's get into these unresolved questions for season 2. All right, first question. Drip, drip, drip. What's up with the water? In the very first episode of season 2, we saw Tabitha and Victor walking around the tunnels where the monsters sleep. Now, I know that most of us viewers were distracted by the terror of walking through the tunnels and constantly telling Tabitha to be quiet. One thing stood out to me, though. Tabitha asked, where is the water coming from?
Where's the water coming from?
Now, that is a great question because in previous episodes, we've seen drawings of events that happened in the past in the town. And in those drawings, we've seen images of a lot of rain or a flood occurring. So this water in the tunnels, is this a bad omen? I mean, could another flood be on its way? I don't know. Please let me know what you think about the water. Okay, next up, we have to talk about this because I still don't get it. What is going on with the ballerina and the music box? Okay, because after watching season 2, this is just one thing that just still has not added up for me. All right, so this evil entity, which, you know, a lot of people call the Cicada monster, it seemed to be taking on the appearance of things that other people feared. At the beginning of episode 10 in season 1, Boyd mentioned how he found worms to be creepy.
You know, if you cut a worm in half, it grows back into 2 worms.
What's your point?
Worms are creepy. You sure it feels right at home here?
And guess what? This evil entity just so happened to take on the form of worms. Then Sarah mentioned how her brother Nathan was terrified of cicadas, and you guessed it, this evil entity took on the form of cicadas. So this brings me back to the ballerina and the music box. Why? Did someone in the town have a fear of dancing? Were they traumatized as a kid when they had to take ballet lessons or something? I mean, and here's something else to think about. Why was Martin, or the evil entity, so pressed and so concerned about doing things before the music ran out? We know that there seemed to be some sort of time limit or a consequence when the music runs out. If you look at episode 10 of season 2, Sarah said that if they don't stop the music, then the victims will be in trouble and it'll be too late.
You have to make the music stop!
And again, when you look at Martin, he seemed to have a real sense of urgency to pass his blood along before the music ran out. So you guys tell me, What do you think about the ballerina and the music box? Real quick, I wanted to say thank you very, very much for all of you that are watching and making it this far. If you don't mind, please hit the subscribe button for me. You're probably just like me, where you watch a whole bunch of videos on YouTube and you're not really subscribed. So if you could just take a quick moment, just hit the little subscribe button. It would really do a lot for this channel, and I'd really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, let's get back to it. Let's move on to the next unresolved issue, and that is, what's up with this exit sign? Back in season 1, we found out that there was a big mystery going on with the electricity in the town and how it's supplied throughout. Now, there was one scene that bothered me, and it had to do with Jim. Jim was recovering in the clinic in episode 3. However, he noticed something odd going on with the exit sign. It started flickering. Right before he could further investigate, in comes Tilly. Here we go again. Didn't I tell y'all that this show has a knack for interrupting very important things that are said or things that are going to be done? Right when we about to get some important information, somebody got to interrupt or somebody got to get cut off. I don't like it. It's annoying. It gets on my nerves. Anyway, I'm still curious about what Jim might have found out had he continued and followed up his investigation of what's going on with the exit sign. What do you think he was about to figure out? All right, next up, we got to talk about everyone's favorite town resident, and that is Victor. In season 2, we learned a lot more about Victor's past, but one of the big questions is, how did Victor survive this long in town? We know that Victor came here with his mom and his sister, and he always says that he's been there for a long time. We know it's been at least since the 70s. However, when Tabitha asked him how they got there, he immediately shut down and said he didn't want to talk about that. Yet again, as I've been saying, right when we are about to get important information, somebody either stops talking or gets cut off or whatever, and this is no different. So I'm assuming that how Victor got here is actually relevant information that clearly has not been answered yet. So I'm suspecting that there's something here that when we find this out, it's going to unravel a big mystery in this show. But we're going to stay on Victor for now. We got some other questions here for him. And one of them is, it was a very short, quick scene, but like, what exactly or who was Victor drawing? If you look at episode 4, we see that Victor is drawing like he normally does to kind of help remember things, you know, and then forget about them later. What I'm curious about is, who or what was Victor drawing all in black? My initial guess here is that he was drawing maybe one of the monsters that he saw in the tunnels at the beginning of the season. However, I just can't shake that feeling that maybe he was drawing someone or something else. You know, I mean, is it possible that Victor could be drawing the boogeyman or some other evil entity of this place? What did you make of the drawing? All right, so we'll move on to the next question, and we're still going to stay on Victor, but my question is, like, what was up with all them cars? In episode 5, we found out that Victor's been holding out information. Apparently, he's moved all the cars in town over into a lot. Now, my initial thought here was, how? There was a whole massacre in the town when Victor was just a boy. All we're told is that he's been there the longest and for a long time. So I'm just trying to figure this out. Like, you know, I'm guessing, what was he, 9, 10, 12 years old, whatever. Did he move all them cars into the lot by himself? Like, did he put the cars in neutral and push them? Did he drive them over? I'm just saying, he was a little boy and he'd been there by himself for a long time. Did the boy in white help him with his driver's permit? Like, it's just kind of strange to me. It might not be the biggest deal, but I still found it curious. Now let's kind of go back a little bit and talk again about the Cicada monster evil entity, because I was kind of curious about exactly how the powers work. Now we know that in season 2, the worms that Boyd carried into town eventually transformed into the cicadas, and that evil entity goes around terrorizing people and even killing them. We saw it primarily attack people in their dreams and kill them in their sleep. What's interesting to me here is that this made more sense when the cicadas were roaming around town. Obviously, that let us know where the victim was going to be. But that wasn't the case with Marielle. While she was still asleep in the clinic, she had a dream where she heard the music box and saw Smiley. Now, what's interesting about this is the cicada monster had not escaped Smiley's body just yet. So I'm just kind of wondering, did the evil entity have the power to attack people just by being in the town? I don't know. Maybe he just got like extended magic Wi-Fi or something, and that reach was just all over. I thought he had to go, or and like be around people to infect them, but I don't know. So the Marielle dream before the cicadas started flying around, that was just kind of strange to me. Okay, next up, we have to ask a question about what's going on with the seasons. Back in season 1, Victor brought it to our attention that the trees in the woods were moving. This was indeed a very strange thing, but we started to know that this town has the ability to do more than just move trees. We've seen how this place has sent a storm to destroy the radio tower at Colony House, and it's possibly destroying the soil where the crops are growing. But more importantly, the seasons seem to be changing. Victor said that the weather here has always been the same and it never changed. So I don't know. This seems to be like the first time that the weather has changed around here like that. So hopefully we'll get some more insight as to what the change of seasons could mean for this place and its residents. Next up, let's go back. We got to talk about Victor once again. And my goodness, what is wrong with him? In season 2, episode 8, we see Victor get verbally assaulted by Jade. Jade is pissed. He is fed up. He is tired of Victor's mess, especially for not telling him about the symbol that he saw in the tunnels. When Jade asked him, doesn't Victor want to go back home? Victor ended up saying, this is my home. Now, when I heard Victor say that, I was beside myself because I'm sitting here thinking to myself like, okay, most people that are stuck in this town, the number one thing that they would all want to do is to go home, to leave this place. However, it seems as though Victor has become quite comfortable staying here, so much so that he believes that he is home.
This is my home.
Now, my best guess is that he's obviously been traumatized to the point where he's used to it, right? But I also think that there's a possibility that Victor doesn't want to go home because his home may not have been the best of places, right? We know that it was only his mom and his sister that ended up in the town, but what about his dad? Was Victor's mom on the run with her kids, maybe running away from their father? Maybe for Victor, there's an even bigger monster at home, and it's a lot worse than staying in this town. I mean, that sounds like a lot, but I don't know. You guys let me know. What do you think about Victor being okay staying here? All right, last but not least, we got to get to the biggest question of season 2, and it kind of has to do with Victor, but the real question is, where's Victor's sister? One of the biggest reveals of season 2 was that he had a sister that he completely forgot even existed. Talk about mental trauma. Anyway, through the flashbacks, we saw that Victor's sister was supposed to stay in the cellar with him, but instead she ran out after their mother. Now, we did learn that Victor found his mother's body near the bottle tree as she was trying to go to the lighthouse. However, we don't know what happened to Victor's sister. So, did Eloise end up dead, or did she manage to escape? Maybe even go into the real world and maybe she went back home? Hopefully, next season will let us know the answer. Anyway, that's all the major questions I had for season 2. I know some of you might be asking, but E-Man, what about the big cliffhanger with Tabitha? You know, that's a big question. Did she make it out into the real world or not? Well, listen, even though I think season 3's trailer might have answered that pretty clearly, I'm going to make a short video explaining how I believe that the show already told you the answer to that question. So make sure you stay tuned so I can give you that answer. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really, really do appreciate it. Stay tuned for more videos, theories, and of course, more breakdowns. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. If you're new here and you like what you see, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell so you don't miss out the next time I drop a video. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.